Sometimes it's the smallest disruptions in our day that make the biggest impact on how we feel about our health. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night with a sharp shooting pain in your calf, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A simple leg cramp can be surprisingly distressing, raising concerns about balance, mobility, and how to remain active without fear of sudden discomfort. For many people over 65, these cramps aren't just an occasional annoyance. They can begin to feel like an unwelcome routine, interrupting daily activities and stealing the joy from the simplest pleasures, like gardening or an afternoon walk. Yet there's an important realization that often gets overlooked. Leg cramps aren't always an inevitable rite of passage of getting older. Certainly, our bodies change over time, and it's natural to adjust our pace. But too often, the assumption is that these cramps are something we just have to put up with, a notion that can cause us to reduce activities or retreat from the things we love. That mindset can diminish our sense of hope, suggesting that a future free from leg cramps and muscle weakness is beyond reach. But here's the good news. There is a gentle, consistent approach to strengthening our leg muscles that can make a tremendous difference. Through years of focusing on preventive care strategies, I've found that even minor lifestyle adjustments can have a ripple effect, helping with everything from circulation to balance to overall vitality. And while I'm not here to replace any guidance from your healthcare provider, I am here to share insights learned from seeing many seniors, some well into their 80s and beyond, who took simple steps to address their leg health and experienced remarkable benefits. This isn't about intense workouts or complicated regimens. It's about discovering small yet powerful practices that restore faith in our body's ability to adapt. In the next several minutes, I'll walk you through 7 key points that shed new light on why leg cramps happen and what you can do about them. We'll challenge common assumptions, explore how daily habits might be contributing to cramps, and discuss practical, easy-to-implement techniques for building strength and flexibility without straining the joints. Each point represents a piece of the puzzle, and together they form an approach that can help you move from uncertainty and discomfort to feeling more steady on your feet. We'll also see how addressing leg cramps can uplift your mood, confidence, and sense of independence. I invite you to stick with me as we explore these tips. Think of this as a friendly conversation with someone who's rooting for you, someone who truly believes that you can move past the worry of leg cramps and embrace a more active future. If you're ready to discover simple yet effective ways to keep your legs strong and resilient, let's begin. And as we go along, I'd love to hear your thoughts or concerns in the comments, because your experiences matter, and sharing them might just help someone else who's also looking for hope. Here's the first insight that might surprise you. Many leg cramps can be traced back to everyday habits we might consider harmless or simply part of life. By gently challenging these habits, we start to reclaim control over our health. A lot of seniors believe that leg cramps are a direct result of just getting older, but that's not always the full story. One common misconception is that older adults should avoid certain movements because they might overdo it. In reality, total avoidance of activity can actually weaken the muscles, creating the perfect conditions for cramps to occur. Take Susan, a 72-year-old who spent a lifetime on her feet as a school teacher. When she retired, her daily movement dropped dramatically. She stopped her routine walks around the playground, replaced her active days with more sedentary hobbies, and assumed it was safer to take it easy. Before long, Susan started experiencing sharp calf cramps at night. They weren't constant, but frequent enough that she began to worry every time she climbed into bed. She wondered if it was her age catching up with her. But after consulting a fitness instructor familiar with senior needs, she learned that gentle, regular muscle engagement is crucial, not just for overall fitness, but for warding off sudden contractions that can come from inactivity. The first step for Susan was to incorporate light, seated exercises, easy leg lifts, slow ankle rotations, and supported stretches at the kitchen counter. These short sessions, repeated a few times a day, helped reintroduce her muscles to daily movement without placing any strenuous load on her joints. Over time, her calves grew more conditioned to gentle use. The nighttime cramps that had disrupted her sleep began to diminish, and she found she had more energy for short walks around her neighborhood. If you've thought, but I can't exercise like I did in my 50s, you're not alone. The trick is to reframe exercise as regular muscle engagement rather than an intense workout. Begin by setting a small goal, a minute of seated leg extensions or 5 gentle stretches spread throughout your day. By consistently engaging your leg muscles, you're making them less prone to go into spasm. You're also giving your joints and surrounding tissues the chance to adapt and get stronger. The emotional benefit here is just as important as the physical one. You reestablish a sense of agency over your body. Instead of feeling like a victim to leg cramps, you realize you can take active steps, even small ones, to reduce their frequency. You experience renewed confidence, which often spills into other areas of life. Sleep quality improves, mood lifts, and the simple act of moving around feels less daunting. Keep this in mind as we move forward. You don't have to push yourself to extremes. Gentle consistency is the real key. After all, use it or lose it applies to our muscles at any age, but especially as we grow older. By acknowledging that gentle exercise isn't just safe but beneficial, you begin to break down one of the biggest myths standing in the way of stronger leg muscles. Another myth many older adults believe is that hydration doesn't matter as much after retirement, especially if you're no longer as active as you used to be. But I invite you to think about how vital water is to every cell in your body, including those in your muscles. Ralph, who's 79, spent much of his life in an office job and rarely made drinking water a priority. When he turned 70, he began noticing more frequent muscle cramps, most of them in his legs. At first, he wrote it off as age, until one particularly intense cramp left him limping for days. He consulted a physical therapist who suggested a surprisingly simple intervention. Track your daily water intake and aim for consistent hydration from morning to night. Ralph was skeptical but committed. Soon enough, he found his muscle cramps easing off. The tightness in his calves subsided, and he recovered faster from mild cramps when they did occur. What changed? By staying well hydrated, his muscles were less likely to contract involuntarily, and his overall energy improved. It's easy to overlook how dehydration can sneak up on us. Many seniors cut back on fluids to reduce nighttime bathroom trips or because they simply don't feel as thirsty. But your body may still need that water to help regulate everything from blood volume to joint lubrication. A practical way to begin is by sipping water throughout the day instead of trying to gulp down large amounts at once. You might keep a favorite water bottle by your side or set small water alarms on your phone. If plain water doesn't appeal to you, try adding slices of cucumber or lemon for flavor. From an emotional standpoint, consistent hydration offers peace of mind. When you start caring for your body in this way, it acts as a reminder that you haven't given up on your health. Rather, you're respecting your body's fundamental needs. This shift in outlook, from passive acceptance of cramps to active prevention, helps restore a sense of hope and control. And if you do have concerns about fluid intake interacting with any medications or conditions you have, it's always wise to check in with your healthcare provider. As you might guess, hydration is only one piece of the puzzle. However, it's an incredibly important piece. If you find yourself waking up to leg cramps, or if your muscles feel more tense than they used to, the fix may be as simple as drinking more water in small, steady increments. You'll often find that improved hydration pairs nicely with gentle exercise, amplifying the positive effects of both. Before we continue, take a brief moment to reflect on what you've learned so far. Maybe you're already seeing some areas where small, manageable tweaks could help you. If you have questions or thoughts, feel free to share them. I'd love to know if you've noticed a difference when you've tried even tiny bursts of exercise or taken in more fluids. Now let's move forward. Let's challenge another assumption, that if your legs are cramping, you simply need more potassium. While it's true that electrolytes play a role in muscle function, focusing on just one nutrient is too narrow. In fact, building stronger leg muscles requires a variety of nutrients working in harmony. Magnesium, calcium, and vitamin D are especially vital. Consider Gloria, who is 68 and a proud grandmother of 4. She'd heard that bananas were a quick fix for cramps, so she ate one daily, thinking she was all set. Yet she was still waking up with intense leg spasms. Gloria later learned through a nutrition-focused workshop that while potassium is beneficial, her diet was lacking in magnesium. With guidance, she introduced magnesium-rich foods like spinach, almonds, and whole grains. She also became mindful of her calcium intake, ensuring she had enough from sources like low-fat dairy or fortified alternatives. Additionally, she spent a little more time outdoors in the early morning light, letting her body absorb vitamin D naturally. Within a few weeks, Gloria noticed her cramps were less frequent and less severe. It wasn't about any single miracle nutrient, but rather a balanced approach that gave her muscles what they needed to contract and relax properly. If you suspect that nutrition could be a factor in your leg cramps, start by evaluating your typical meals and snacks. Are you including a variety of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins? Maybe you tend to rely on quick convenience foods that taste great, but don't offer much in the way of vitamins and minerals. You could begin by picking just one meal a day and making it more nutrient-rich. Add a handful of spinach to scrambled eggs, or include a small yogurt for calcium and protein. Over time, these modest changes add up, and your leg muscles will be better supported. On an emotional level, refining your nutrition can feel empowering. Instead of blaming age for every ache and pain, you begin to see how daily food choices influence your comfort, energy, and resilience. Enjoying tasty, wholesome meals can be a mood booster in itself. Cooking or sharing recipes with friends becomes a joyful way to invest in your health, reminding you that life after 65 can still be a time of growth and discovery. Remember, if you have specific dietary concerns, such as restrictions due to kidney issues or complications related to certain conditions, always discuss them with your healthcare team. Personalized advice is key, but for many seniors, simply diversifying the nutrients you take in can go a long way toward diminishing pesky leg cramps. For some, leg cramps are also tied to circulation. You've probably heard people say, just massage it out and wait for it to pass. And while massaging a cramped muscle can offer immediate, if temporary, relief, it doesn't address the underlying cause if poor circulation is involved. Picture Harold, a 76-year-old who found that his calves would seize up when he'd been sitting too long. Once he stood up, the cramp would strike, an incredibly inconvenient surprise that sometimes made him worry about losing his balance. After reading about circulation improving techniques, Harold decided to integrate brief walking breaks into his day. Just a few laps around the house or short strolls up and down the driveway every hour or so. He also tried simple foot flexes when he was seated, pointing and flexing his toes to get his blood moving. Gradually, his circulation improved and the cramps subsided. But just as importantly, Harold experienced a new sense of freedom. He no longer hesitated before standing up, afraid his calves would betray him. He started meeting friends for short walks in the park, regaining some of the social engagement he'd been missing. Better circulation helps deliver oxygen and nutrients to your muscles. When those muscles are well nourished, they're far less likely to spasm unexpectedly. If you want to take steps to improve your circulation, think about how to break up long periods of sitting. Consider small movements you can perform even in a chair. Ankle circles, gentle foot pumps, or standing up and sitting down several times with support if needed. For those with more limited mobility, small shifts in posture or using resistance bands can still offer a boost to blood flow. Emotionally, working on circulation can restore your sense of self-reliance. Instead of feeling tethered to the couch or fearful about cramps, you discover that moving more actually lessens the chance of painful episodes. And while it's wise to consult a doctor if you suspect circulation issues are linked to vascular conditions or varicose veins, the principle remains the same. Gentle movement is often one of the best ways to promote healthy blood flow. Pause here for a moment to consider your day-to-day life. Do you spend prolonged periods in the same position? If so, is there a small adjustment you could make, like setting a gentle alarm to remind you to stretch or walk a bit? If you're open to experimenting, go ahead and try it. You might be surprised at how something so simple can bring noticeable relief. In many cases, chronic stress also plays a bigger role in leg cramps than we realize. If you've ever felt your shoulders creep up toward your ears when you're tense, you understand how stress causes muscle tightness. The same thing can happen in your legs, sometimes resulting in cramps. An unfortunate misconception is that stress management practices, like breathing exercises or meditation, are only for the young or for people who have lots of free time. But stress reduction is truly universal. It can support health at any age. Consider James, who at 74 found himself caring for his wife after she suffered a stroke. While deeply devoted, James felt the pressure of handling medical appointments, housework, and financial worries. He noticed he was clenching his leg muscles during the day, almost bracing himself for the next crisis. By evening, those muscles were on the verge of spasms. After chatting with a counselor, he realized that taking a few minutes each morning to practice deep breathing or gentle mindfulness brought his body back to a calmer baseline. Over time, his leg cramps subsided. His new routine also helped him feel more equipped emotionally to handle the demands of caregiving. If you think stress might be exacerbating your cramps, try a simple relaxation technique. You can sit comfortably, close your eyes, and breathe in slowly for a count of 4, then breathe out for a count of 4. Repeat several times. Alternatively, gently massage your legs with a light lotion or use a warm compress at the end of the day. Anything that encourages you to slow down and tune into your body. The emotional payoff is significant. You're not just reducing cramps. You're reminding yourself that it's okay to take a moment for self-care. This sense of permission can be liberating, especially in a society that often values productivity over rest. By integrating stress reduction practices, you'll likely notice improvements in other areas too. Better sleep, steadier mood, and even healthier blood pressure levels. As we continue, I'd love to hear if any of these strategies resonate with you. Have you tried simple breathing exercises or short breaks of mindful movement? Let us know, and it might inspire someone else. Now let's explore how footwear and foot care factor into the big picture of leg cramps. It's natural to focus on leg muscles when we're dealing with cramps, yet we sometimes forget how influential our feet can be. Many seniors hold on to their favorite shoes for years, maybe because they're comfortable or they bring back fond memories. However, worn-out or ill-fitting footwear can contribute significantly to cramping. Take Claire, 67, who had always worn the same style of slip-on flats. They felt easy to manage, no laces to tie, no fuss. But the lack of arch support and cushioning was affecting her posture and putting strain on her calves. Claire's physical therapist suggested shoes with proper arch support and a moderate heel-to-toe drop, plus flexible soles that encouraged natural foot movement. Initially, Claire resisted, worried that new shoes might feel tight or unfamiliar. But once she gave them a fair shot, she noticed that her standing posture improved. Her calves felt less tense, and over time, her leg cramps eased up. She was thrilled to find that she could still choose attractive, stylish shoes. She just needed the right fit. Another aspect often overlooked is foot care. Dry or cracked skin, untrimmed toenails, or a lack of regular stretching in the feet can lead to subtle misalignments that travel up the leg. Something as simple as gently rolling the arch of your foot over a tennis ball for a minute or two each day can improve foot flexibility. Similarly, rotating your ankles and stretching your toes can help maintain a healthy range of motion. The emotional benefit of focusing on footwear and foot care is that it often leads to a deeper sense of physical confidence. When your feet and ankles feel well supported, every step becomes more secure. That stability can reduce fear of falling, which is a major concern for many seniors. And once that fear subsides, you're more likely to stay active, reinforcing a positive cycle of movement, strength, and well-being. If you're unsure about what type of shoe might be best for you, consider visiting a footwear store that specializes in senior-friendly options or consulting a podiatrist. While it might be tempting to save money by sticking with old shoes, investing in your foot health can be a game changer for reducing leg cramps and improving quality of life. One final but crucial point often misunderstood is the role of gradual progress. Many seniors believe they need to see immediate results. No more cramps in a week or a complete fix in a month, or else they assume the strategy has failed. But building stronger leg muscles that are less prone to cramping is like tending a garden. It requires patience, consistency, and gentle care. Take Manny, 73, who was keen to eliminate his nighttime leg cramps. He started a strength-building routine with light resistance bands and short daily walks. After 2 weeks, he still experienced cramps, and he felt discouraged. But he continued, gradually increasing the number of band repetitions and the distance of his walks. After about 6 weeks, Manny realized his cramps were happening less frequently and were less intense when they did occur. By the 3-month mark, he was virtually cramp-free and even felt comfortable carrying groceries up the stairs without worry. Manny's story highlights that meaningful change doesn't always happen overnight, especially when dealing with muscle health. If you can make peace with incremental progress, you're more likely to stick to your routine. Each small milestone, a night with fewer cramps, a day you manage an extra set of leg exercises, becomes a victory worth celebrating. Recognizing these achievements can motivate you to continue, turning short-lived changes into lifelong habits. Emotionally, adopting a long-term mindset can shift your relationship with your body. Instead of viewing any lingering cramps as a failure, you start seeing them as feedback. Maybe you need to tweak your routine or give yourself more time to adapt. This approach reduces self-blame and fosters a more compassionate, hopeful view of your health journey. You understand that real, lasting transformations are built one day at a time, and that resilience is grown through continuous, patient effort. So if you find yourself feeling frustrated that improvement isn't happening fast enough, remember Manny's garden metaphor? Nurture your legs with care, keep them gently active, and allow them the space to grow stronger. Consistency, especially when done safely, is what ultimately rewards you with fewer cramps and greater freedom of movement. Thinking back over these 7 perspectives: gentle, consistent exercise, mindful hydration, balanced nutrients, improved circulation, stress management, proper footwear, and a gradual, patient approach, you've seen how each piece can help create a life with fewer leg cramps and stronger, more reliable muscles. It's normal to feel both inspired and a bit overwhelmed. Change can be intimidating at first, but remember, you don't have to tackle everything at once. Even a single well-chosen step, like adding a short walk after breakfast or choosing shoes with better support, can offer immediate benefits that ripple out over time. Take a moment now to imagine the next weeks and months ahead. Picture yourself gradually integrating these habits into your routine. Perhaps you'll start with a brief morning stretch, or maybe you'll focus on hydrating more effectively throughout the day. By doing so, you'll likely notice subtle improvements. Fewer nighttime disruptions, less tension in your calves, or a boost of confidence in daily tasks. While it's wise to consult your healthcare provider about any concerns specific to your condition, you have so much agency over your daily choices. That sense of ownership is powerful. It transforms leg cramps from an inevitable burden into something you can manage and potentially prevent. Every day you decide to apply one of these tips is a day you affirm hope over resignation, strength over helplessness. If you found this conversation helpful, consider sharing it with a friend or family member who might also benefit. Engage with others about what you're trying, what's working, and what you're still figuring out. The collective wisdom we have when we come together, especially as older adults who've experienced so much in life, can be truly transformative. Maybe you'll inspire someone else to take that first small step toward a more comfortable, active lifestyle. Here's one more reminder before we wrap up. You are not defined by the occasional aches or cramps you experience. Your body is continuously evolving, and with a little proactive care, your legs can remain strong, supportive, and ready to carry you through the joys of each day. Make the commitment to yourself. Try out these suggestions at whatever pace feels comfortable. Reach out to professionals if you need a personalized plan, and never underestimate the power of small, steady improvements. Know that I believe in your capacity to shape your future health. You have the wisdom of experience and the ability to keep learning new ways to support your body's well-being. Take that hope and let it guide you in the weeks ahead. And remember, whether it's a quick calf stretch or a sip of water, every gentle action you take brings you one step closer to fewer leg cramps and a life lived more fully on your own terms.